And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our second segment. But before that, I would like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read on the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get back into the show for today. All right, so we're moving into our second segment, as I talked about before, which is talking about Drew Thorpe getting called up by the Chicago White Sox. And yeah, just my overall thoughts on it. So yeah, there we go. So Thorpe is one of the top prospects in all of Major League Baseball, and of course for the Chicago White Sox. Now, if you don't know Thorpe's story, it is very interesting. He was not a real high prospect for the Yankees coming when he got drafted by them. Really wasn't a guy that was highly sought after, but made his way throughout the minors, was very, very dominant, and ended up becoming one of the top pitching prospects in baseball with them. He was a second-round pick, so it wasn't like he was fifth or sixth round, but still wasn't really that highly sought after. But did a really nice job with the Yankees organization, climbing through the minors and becoming one of the top pitching prospects in baseball. Then, once Juan Soto was mentioned in a lot of rumors with the Yankees being traded there, of course he got traded there. Now we know Thorpe was mentioned in most of those talks, if not all, and basically was said that he would be one of the few players that if Soto was traded to the Yankees would need to go back to San Diego, and of course he did, and was arguably the centerpiece of that entire trade. The Padres loved this guy and thought he was going to be a really great future pitcher. But after just around 3 short months after, the Padres themselves traded Thorpe to the Chicago White Sox for Dylan Cease. So overall, it seemed like he was kind of part of a unofficial three-team trade, with the Yankees getting Juan Soto, the Padres getting Dylan Cease and Michael King and some prospects, and then the White Sox getting, of course, Drew Thorpe and some prospects. So it was an interesting turn of events for Thorpe and what we thought would happen with him with the Padres, but looks to have found a home here with Chicago, and yeah, has really risen through the minors again and done a great job. He was called up straight from Double-A to the White Sox team, is going to be making his first MLB start tomorrow. So we'll be talking about that either tomorrow or Wednesday. I have to check what time the game is and what happens with that. But yeah, so looking at Thorpe here, since the start of the 2023 season in the minor leagues, where he was at A+ ball in Double-A, he's thrown 200 innings, having a 2.17 ERA, 238 strikeouts and only 55 walks. Opponents have hit just 138 against his changeup in that span, with a 50% zone whiff percentage. So that basically means 50% of the time, 50% of the time that his changeup was thrown in the zone, people whiffed on it. So that's pretty incredible. Obviously, Thorpe's main pitch is his changeup, and that is one of the reasons why so many people love him as a prospect and think of him so highly. Now, looking at some statistics about his changeup and just overall, digesting it. So, looking at his other pitches as well, he has a 91 mile per hour fastball with a 19-inch vertical and a 6.3-inch release. 82 mile per hour changeup, 18 inches of vertical, which is great for a changeup. He also has an 86 mile per hour cutter and a slider, and he had a 1.35 ERA at Double-A. So what we know about him is that with his windup and how good his pitches are, it's going to be very difficult to distinguish between his fastball and his changeup. And I think that overall is going to make for a great pitcher at the major leagues. And I really, really do like this guy. I think that overall there's a lot of potential in him. I think the White Sox know what they're doing with him. They obviously wanted him very badly, because you didn't have to trade Dylan Cease, but they wanted Thorpe, so they ended up pulling the trigger. Got some other great pieces as well, but Thorpe was definitely the main part of it. So the reorganization thought very highly of him in just 1 year, going from all three of them obviously. So there's obviously something within him that people like and people see. So I think that overall Thorpe is going to be a very, very good pitcher in the major leagues for a long time. And it's going to be a big part of this White Sox team until they trade him in 5 years, because their owner is very cheap. So you look at his scouting grades. His fastball gets a 50, which is fine. His slider gets a 55. Okay. His changeup gets a 70, which basically means elite, and his control also gets a 60. So he's more of a changeup control kind of pitcher than more of a blow you away with his fastball. His fastball's still good, but it's not exactly his 1A pitch. That really, again, is his changeup, which is why you want him. So I think that overall he's going to be a very, very great pitcher at the major league level, and is going to end up being a massive contributor to the future of this White Sox team and this White Sox team this year as well. I'm very excited to watch him, and he's done a great job of getting his stock up there as one of the top pitching prospects in baseball. And yeah, just very excited to watch him. And things might look bleak for the White Sox right now, and believe me, they are. I've had them ranked number 30 in my Friday power rankings for, I believe, 3 or 4 weeks now. So it's not exactly like I think they're an amazing team, because they're not. But there is still a lot to like about this White Sox future, and I think that the light at the end of the tunnel is there at least. It may not be close, but it's there. Looking at the prospects in this organization, you of course have a guy I've talked about a lot in the show, Colson Montgomery. Of course, a 22-year-old lefty, sweet swinging shortstop prospect in AAA. Should be up at some point this year. I'd say maybe a few weeks to a month. I think he's going to be up very shortly. And this is a guy that looks to be someone you build a franchise around. Amazing stats in the minor leagues in 2023 over three different teams in the minor leagues. He had an OPS near 1,000. Continuing his consistency, even though he got moved throughout the minor leagues. Hasn't gotten off to an amazing start this year with an OPS barely over 700, but still is settling in for this year, I think, and I'm not worried. He's got great contact, great power, fields very well, and has great defense, has great speed. So, yeah, I think Montgomery is someone that you look at as a future face of the White Sox organization. I think this is a guy that really brings a lot to the table as a prospect and as a future player for this team. So very excited to see what ends up happening with his future. And yeah, really, really excited to watch him. And again, future looks bleak now, but you have guys like him going through the minor leagues, and that's a big piece there. You also, of course, have Noah Schultz, who is probably a better pitching prospect than Drew Thorpe, and how much I've talked about Drew Thorpe. He's great. Schultz is a 20-year-old lefty pitching prospect. An Illinois native as well, so I'm sure it's very cool for him to be able to go with the White Sox and stay in the Illinois area in Chicago and play there with the major leagues. So this is another guy that is a great pitching prospect, has insane stats throughout the minor leagues, has some amazing stuff as a tall lefty pitcher, 6'9", 220, an imposing presence on the mound. Another great pitching prospects for this White Sox team. So again, that's a big piece. Again, of course, Drew Thorpe. You also have Edward Cuero, who came over from the Lucas Giolito trade last year from the Angels, has become a top prospect within the major leagues and is looking to be the future catcher of this White Sox team. And so again, while there aren't a lot of guys here that are going to make you excited for the future, there's still a good amount. You still have guys that you look and can say, okay, in 5 to 7 years when I'm watching this team, these guys are going to be stars. They're the guys I'm going to be rooting for. You, of course, already have Garrett Crochet. You have Luis Robert. You have Eloy Jimenez. How long are these young star players going to be on the team for? I'm not sure. Will they be traded by July 31st? It's very possible. So I don't want to exactly make them part of your core, but let's say you keep Crochet. You now have a top 3 in the future, in probably the next 2 to 3 years, of Crochet, Thorpe, and Schultz. That's really, really great. You have your franchise shortstop in Colson Montgomery. You will have a franchise center fielder in Luis Robert. And maybe if you ever spend money, you'll get to add some players to this talented team. So it's very, very exciting to see some of the players of this White Sox team come up. And look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You guys are horrible right now. You're the worst team in baseball by far. But you have at least some hope, and you at least see the fruits of your labor of being horrible coming up, and you should at least get excited about that. So I think Drew Thorpe getting called up by the White Sox does show a little bit more of a positive side of this White Sox franchise and team, and you should at least be excited about watching one of the top prospects in baseball pitching. I know I will be. I'm excited to watch him on Tuesday. Watch that changeup. Very excited to see it. So, yeah, I think that overall, again, things look bleak right now. They are bleak, but there's at least something to look forward to in the future with the White Sox, and I think Drew Thorpe getting called up does recognize that. So, the White Sox game on Tuesday is going to be at 9:40, so that's at night, so we'll be probably talking about it on Wednesday. He'll be playing Brian Wu, of the Mariners, so a nice matchup there of two good young pitchers. So I'll be watching that, and yeah, so that is the second segment here, talking about Drew Thorpe getting called up by the Chicago White Sox. We'll be moving into our third segment, which is going to be talking about Hurston Waldrop getting called up by the Atlanta Braves. Again, another top pitching prospect getting called up by his team. Again, we want to talk about it, and there are a lot of prospects being called up over the weekend. So yeah. So we talk about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free.